Now I'll give the floor to Abdullateef Mohamed, President of the Association of Intellectuals Iraqi. Is a Sunni, born in the Sunni area of Anbar. Today, at the heart of this conflict, he studied in Baghdad as a specialization in Sharia and Islamic law. He studied in a very well-known university, Al-Azhar, close to Cairo. He is a preacher. He also founded a bank, the Islamic Bank of Iraq, and today is the president of the Ulema Association.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the peace will be with you. First of all, I would like to thank the promoters of this meeting. It gave me the chance to speak about Iraq. I'm not going to speak about Sunni Muslims, but about this land, which is a wounded land. Half of my country are cemeteries and graveyards, other half are prisons. On one half of the country, we have orphans and widows, and the other half is made up of refugees and people with no future. I'm not going to hide behind big words. It's not a time for big speeches. I just want to question the title of this panel, Iraq, what future? The most important question should be not about the future of Iraq, but the future of the Middle East. Middle East, what future? Because it's not just a local problem we're dealing with. We have a three-dimensional problem here. We have a local dimension, then we have a second level, which is a regional problem, and then we have a third level of this conflict, which is international. There are functional links between these three levels. Each level has an impact on the other. Therefore, we are fighting a war by delegation in land called Iraq. At regional level, we have a governance crisis. We are in a Sunni department, in a Sunni area, but we have to defend the whole of Iraq. What Vian described is true, 100%. But this applies for the province of Anbar, where more than 1 million of Nineveh and Salahuni are killed in the name of Allah. Under the eyes of the central government. The 6 governments, regional governments, had fought against this. The citizens asked for the rights in the streets. They were manifesting for the rights peacefully. They felt they were marginated and persecuted by terrorist powers, working with the secret services, with the unright laws which were passed. So we're talking really here about a governance crisis. There are imbalances, structural imbalances underlying this problem. The political process is undergoing a crisis. Only one side of the political scene drafted the constitution And laws today in force are persecuting my people, not only the Sunni Muslims, but all Iraqis, because these laws are not rightful, do not lay the foundation for a state of right based on citizenship, based on the sovereignty and rule of law. These laws create a state which has nothing to do with a modern state. That's why I say, like everybody else said, we want a civic state based on citizenship, on equality, with no discrimination. ISIS is going to end one day.
القذارة والوساخة وهذه الفقاعة ستنتهي.
Indeed, I would say that locally the populations are in a very awkward, difficult situation, and many questions are raised. Regionally speaking, there is a local crisis, but not only, there's this other crisis, that is, since 1922, the country has been in a kind of identity crisis. It's a question of an identity crisis, I repeat. Iraq, indeed, has been undergoing this crisis. The whole country is undergoing this identity crisis quite clearly. There were wars just for identity crisis. If you take the First World War, the Second World War, the price paid was absolutely awful. And of course, what's important is to see what can be done. We are in a situation, and we have our local problems, and extremism is not exclusively in Iraq, obviously, but terrorism is produced outside and within Iraq. IRIS has philosophers, etc., but these people are not from Iraq. The founders of ISIS are not citizens from Iraq. In other words, terrorism was born outside of Iraq, and obviously you have this infiltration of terrorists within Iraq. As to Palestine, it's an important dossier, and the problem of Bahrain, Yemen, Syria, the nuclear file dossier, all these topics are quite clearly interconnected. There are clear interconnections between these different dimensions and terrorism that is literally imported into Iraq. And terrorism is, I would say, a kind of artificial creation. It's a bit like Frankenstein, Hollywood. It's a monster that eats up everything and then finally is eaten up itself. As a conclusion, what I'd like to say is that you have the evil question, and we need to see what needs to be done, and obviously it's not a religious dialogue that will end all this crisis, but of course there are elements that can be resolved in a more straightforward way than others. But as I was saying, it's extremely complex. We need to literally purify all this. All that has to do with hatred, extremists, etc. We need to really underline the glory of Islam, true Islam, real Islam, because Islam equals wisdom. And now what we need to underline is the word wise wisdom. We need to underline the word love also. Our Prophet stated that all this having to do with love, etc. And there is another sentence that mentions the fact that a prostitute had entered paradise because she had saved a dog in the streets. What I'm trying to say is that ethics are very important. Behavior, proper behavior. In Quran, it is said that someone who's killed one person, it's as though this person had killed the whole of humanity. But on the other hand, if this person has saved one person, this person has saved the whole of humanity. The future of Iraq will only be possible when the region will no longer have wars such as it is the case today, when there will be true historical compromises that will have been reached, and it's a question of seeking compromises, reaching compromises so that our boat can reach safely the harbour. And then, finally, the state needs to give to all the citizens, Sunnis, Christians, Muslims, non-Muslims, everyone, give to all citizens, Christians, all citizens. Everyone is included in my list. We all need to have received the same rights, quite clearly. And I'd like to add also that the Arabs are Chaldeans, Chaldeans are Arabs. Abraham also was a Chaldean, and also they all are, and fathers, sons, etc. And I would say there is not, you don't have the Middle East without Christians, and vice versa, so we're all together here on the same boat. Thank you. Thank you.
Io ringrazio questo appassionato discorso di Abdullateef.
I'd like to thank you for this speech full of passion. Thank you very much. I'd just like to underline 2 or 3 elements. The first element concerns the fact of being inclusive. You know, being inclusive is really extremely important for freedom and democracy. Secondly, purification of the way we teach, our program. We need to get rid of words such as hatred. We are all there, all involved, etc. So once again, thank you for these words, full of passion, very convincing. I'm going to give the floor to a friend now. Noir Adaya. We've known each other for ages, for a very long time. And he's the only Christian representative of the local parliament of the province of Nineveh. He deals with the protection of the minorities, also of the refugees. He's also a refugee. The same thing, of course, for his family. He lived in Karakosh, and he cooperates with the Kurd politicians to seek an autonomous region. He's been doing that for many years, and I'd like to give you the floor now. Thank you. Mr. Giro, I'd like to thank you. To start with, thank you to my friends for organizing this dialogue on peace. We have lost the hope of reaching peace in the Middle East, but even a small drop in the ocean needs to be protected. I'd like to explain what's happening in Iraq, more specifically in